Are you ready for a day of adventure with us in Aruba? Hop aboard as we set sail on a catamaran, explore the crystal clear waters around this beautiful island, and snorkel at one of the largest shipwrecks in the Caribbean. Oh, and there will be rum. Let's dive into the details while we tell you all about our day on this sail and snorkel cruise excursion.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I love to talk about everything fun under the Florida sun, from the theme parks to the state parks and occasionally the cruise ships. Cruises are a popular thing in Florida. They bring a lot of people down here. My family and I, we do like to take a cruise every now and then, and recently we did an 8-night cruise on the Carnival Horizon down to the Southern Caribbean, where we made stops in Aruba, Bonaire, and 2 stops in the Dominican Republic. And while in Aruba, we went on a catamaran sail and snorkel excursion that I'm going to tell you guys all about on this video. Some of you may have found this video by typing in catamaran sail and snorkel excursion. Maybe that's what brought you here. So thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you're here. Normally we talk about more Florida-based things, but we do occasionally venture off onto cruise ships. So today we're going to talk a little bit about this excursion we did down in Aruba so you can decide if this one is for you and to see if you want to do this one. So Carnival calls this one the Catamaran Sail and Snorkel, and I know all the different cruise lines kind of probably use the same tour outfitters for their excursions too. So if you see something similar to that on like Royal Caribbean or NCL, it's probably this same excursion. This one is $75 for adults and $60 for kids. They do consider anybody above 13 to be an adult. So if you're bringing teenagers, they're gonna have to pay the adult price. And we chose this one because we thought that price seemed pretty fair. For $75 per person for an excursion, yeah, it's a little bit pricey, but it was actually one of the more affordable ones we saw on the list. And for a 4-hour experience that gets you on a catamaran and out to some snorkeling spots in some of the most beautiful water in the Caribbean, seemed like a pretty reasonable deal. So that's why we booked this one. So this is a 4-hour experience, and remember, this is called the Catamaran Sail and Snorkel. It's not just the snorkel. The sailing is kind of a big part of this, and when you hop on board the boat, you are going to be sailing for about an hour till you get to the first destination. You're not just popping on the boat, cruising for 10 minutes, then jumping in the water. You do have about an hour-long ride in the boat until you get to the first snorkeling spot, and it is actually a lot of fun. It's not like a tour or anything like that. The captain of the boat isn't getting on the intercom and pointing out historical things or giving you a history of the island or anything like that. He's just gonna put on some music, and it's all the music you kind of are probably expecting to hear. Jimmy Buffett, maybe some Zac Brown, Bob Marley, a lot of reggae and tropical rock. Things that are just gonna kind of set a good atmosphere for the ride out to the first snorkeling spot, and this was a lot of fun. You're just gonna wanna sit back and enjoy the ride out to the first snorkeling spot, but you are gonna wanna hold on to your stuff. The waves can be a little bit choppy on the way out. My son actually lost both of his flip-flops when we hit a little bit of a bouncy patch of water. His flip-flops flew overboard, and he had to walk back to the boat at the end of the day barefoot, so that wasn't great. So hang on to your stuff. You don't wanna lose anything overboard out here. So after about an hour on the boat, they took us to the first snorkeling spot, and this was just off a beach called Catalina Beach. You can get in the water 2 ways. You can either just jump right in like I did, or you can kind of walk down the stairs in the back. I kind of recommend just jumping right in. It's kind of fun, and also that stairway kind of gets a little bit crowded, and jumping right in is the fastest way to get in the water. They do provide everything you need. They're gonna give you your mask, your snorkel, your fins, and they will give you a vest if you need it. Now, I opted not to take the vest because I'm a pretty good swimmer, but after being in the water for maybe 15, 20 minutes or so, I kind of do wish I had it. It just kind of helps you float to the surface a little bit and relax and kind of enjoy the experience a little bit better rather than having to swim and tread water the entire time. If you're okay just kind of swimming and treading water at the top while you're snorkeling, you probably don't need the vest, but I kind of wish I did get it. So you can opt for that if you'd like to get that. Now, I will admit this snorkeling spot was only okay for me. Now, the water was beautiful, it was very clear, it was very blue, and there was a lot of fish, but there wasn't really a ton else to look at. We were kind of on a flat sandy bottom. It was pretty featureless, and it was relatively deep. I want to say it was maybe 20, 25 feet deep without a whole lot to look at other than some fish. There wasn't any reefs, there wasn't any wreck yet. We're gonna get to the wreck next, but this spot was just, it was all right. I mean, it was a pleasant way to spend some time in the water looking at the fish and swimming around. Now, I missed it, but my wife saw a sea turtle out here, so that was really, really cool, and she kept on talking about it. She was about 50 yards away from me or so. She was kind of on the other side of the boat from me, and she's yelling, "Hey, there's a sea turtle over here," and I couldn't get to it, but she saw that and she thought it was one of the coolest things she'd ever seen. I guess it got fairly close to her, and she kept on talking about her sea turtle encounter the whole rest of the cruise, so I kind of missed that. So this location, maybe it's the luck of the draw. She got to see the sea turtle, I got to just see a bunch of fish and a flat bottom, but the first spot okay, but still, it's snorkeling in Aruba. Not much to complain about here. Still a great way to spend a morning. And after about 30 minutes here, they're gonna blow a horn to let everybody know it's time to get back on board the boat. They're gonna get everybody back on, they're gonna take a quick head count, and they're gonna move on to the next spot. And the next thing you're gonna see is really the big attraction on this dive, and this is a World War II era shipwreck called the SS Antilla. This German cargo ship was actually intentionally sunk here by its own crew. So as you might know, Aruba is a Dutch territory, and in 1940 this ship was here. The SS Antilla was a German ship. It was right here in these waters, and right around the same time that Germany invaded the Netherlands. So some of the Dutch Marines that were here at the time were ordered to take control of this ship, and when they came out to attack it and take it over, the German crew said, nah, we would rather scuttle this thing. We would rather sink it than let it fall into your hands. So they scuttled the ship, and then they were all captured. The entire crew was captured after sinking the ship. Now this is really the only history lesson they're going to give you on this excursion. The rest of the time they're just kind of playing music. But when you go down to see this ship, they are going to give you a little bit of a backstory so you do appreciate it a little bit more. And so now it is one of the largest shipwrecks in the Caribbean. It's about 600 feet long, sits in 60 feet of water, and it's really easy to get to for both snorkelers and scuba divers. And seeing this in person was really, really cool. The water here is a little bit darker and a little bit deeper than it was at the other snorkeling spot that we stopped at. So it is gonna be a little bit spookier and a little bit creepier. It's not gonna have as much fish, but seeing this in person was really, really neat. You do get to spend about 30 minutes swimming over this wreck with a lot of other people. There was actually a bunch of other snorkel and scuba groups here at the time. So it's not like you have the whole wreck to yourself or anything like that, but you do get to snorkel over it for about 30 minutes, and it was really cool. It kind of gave me some Titanic vibes, seeing this actual shipwreck right below the water. Very, very cool thing. Obviously, it's not nearly as deep as the Titanic, and you can see it easily by snorkeling it, but it's really, really cool, and probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen snorkeling. Honestly, this probably made this one of the best snorkeling trips I'd ever done anywhere. So after about 30 minutes in the water here, they're gonna blow that horn again, and they're gonna bring everybody back on the boat. And at this point, they did a head count. And you know what was kind of funny is the head count did not match the original head count. We were short one person, and they kept on counting people again and again and again. They made everybody raise their hand and put their hand down. And it was kind of cool to see that the crew took themselves really seriously here. They were having a lot of fun earlier. They were playing music and all that. But at this point, you can tell they really wanted to make sure they had the head count right. They didn't want to leave anybody behind. After about, I want to say they counted people about 4 times, getting a little bit more nervous and anxious each time, someone just kind of popped out from underneath. I guess somebody was in the bathroom the entire time. Everybody had a little bit of a chuckle, and they were like, oh, there they are. Okay, good, we can leave. We didn't want to leave anybody in the water, but somebody was in the bathroom the entire time, and I guess they didn't check, or maybe they were hiding, or maybe they did look. I don't know the whole situation there, but long story short, someone was in the bathroom. The head count came out good, so we decided to head back to shore. And at this point, they're gonna open up the rum punch on board the boat. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but there is an open bar on board for soda. All the soda you can drink is included with the excursion here, and all the rum punch you can drink. Now, they don't open up the rum punch until after you're done with the second snorkeling spot. They said legally they're not allowed to serve alcohol until you're on the way back. I guess something about not having a bunch of drunk people in the water. Probably a pretty good idea. But I am gonna say that rum punch is dangerous. It is dangerous, so proceed with caution. On the way back, I became kind of friends with this family from Cincinnati. I was sitting up in the front of the boat on that little cargo net spot, just kind of having a nice day, and I was kind of chatting up some of the people out there like you do on a cruise. You know, one thing I love about cruises is that you get to meet people from all over the world. And we're talking to this family from Cincinnati, and there was this older guy on the boat whose name was Paul, and Paul became my best friend. He became my boat buddy. His daughter described him as a 25-year-old in a 75-year-old's body, and this guy had lots of energy. He was super fun. We're talking about stuff, and I said, hey, Paul, you want me to go get you a rum punch? I run down, get him a rum punch. We have one. We're kind of hanging out in the boat, drinking and talking. Then he goes, hey, Andy, I'm going back downstairs. You want me to get you another rum punch? So he does. He comes back, brings me a rum punch. You can kind of maybe see where this is going. A few more minutes later, on the hour-long ride back, I said, hey, Paul, I'm going back downstairs. Would you like another rum punch? Sure, Andy, I'll take another one. So we're sitting here just downing these rum punches, and you know, how strong can they really be? It's free booze on a cruise ship. It's probably watered down, right? Right? No, this stuff was really strong, and by the time we got back to the boat, we were a little bit overserved. We're just gonna say that. Had to walk back to the boat and took a nap. Got back to the ship and took a nap. So the rest of my Aruba day was kind of me sleeping in the cabin. So the rum punch, nice perk of this thing, but go easy on it. Go easy on it. It is a lot stronger than it tastes. I don't know what they put in that stuff. All right, so final word, how was this excursion? Would I do it again? Yeah, I definitely would do it again. It was 75 bucks per person, so it's about a $300 trip for 4 people. I mean, not cheap, but when you look at all the other cruise excursions that are on there, it was one of the more reasonably affordable ones. And for that, you get a 4-hour experience cruising in some of the most beautiful water in the Caribbean and 2 snorkeling spots. One that was only, it was all right, and one that was absolutely magnificent to see that wreck down there. Absolutely would recommend it just for the wreck. And remember, it is the sail and snorkel, it's not just the snorkel. If this was 75 bucks just to see these 2 snorkeling spots, probably not really worth it. I may not recommend it, but because you get to spend a good hour going out and back in this catamaran, that was a lot of fun. And that was honestly probably the most fun part we had. We loved just being on the water and having rum punch with my new buddy, Paul. If you're out there, Paul, and you ever happen to see this, cheers, and hope to run into you again one of these days. All right, thanks for watching this video, you guys. If you want to like, share, subscribe, I would seriously appreciate that. Most of the stuff we talk about here is more Florida related, but we do occasionally venture off into the cruise ships a little bit when we do take a cruise. So yeah, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.